Welcome everyone to the dance floor, where life lessons are learned through the art of dance. I'm your host, Anna Harsh, and today's episode, I'm so completely honored to have a special guest, Jennifer Anton. Jennifer, welcome to the dance floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna, for having me. I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor.
I am thrilled to meet you and ran across your work and your upcoming book. And so that sparked some choreography sparks in my head of characters that I would dream about to choreograph. So tell my listeners about your new project and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been, again, my name is Jennifer Anton. I've been researching my Italian family for the past 14 years, since 2006. During kind of a tumultuous time in my life when my daughter was born, and within a 2-week period, my Italian grandmother passed away before getting to meet her and before getting to answer a lot of questions about her life, which I found out was living through the rise of fascism and World War II. And I had known little parts about her, but I didn't know all the details to her life, and I had wanted to find them out before she passed away. And of course, time is not always our friend. We think we have all the time in the world, and we don't. So that kind of sparked a journey for me outside of my kind of normal career of really researching, going back to Italy on a regular basis, getting to know people I never knew in a small town called Fonzazzo, Italy, which is where the novel takes place. And also meeting people around the world, in Canada, in other parts of the US, and in other parts of Italy too, who were connected to the family who I never knew about before. And all of this really, happening after my grandma passed away. So the story, the book is called Under the Light of the Italian Moon. And it is really, it's inspired by a story of love and women's resilience during the rise of fascism and World War II. And it is historical fiction, but it's based off of all the stories that I've collected in these 14 years and all the research that I've done. Particularly, it's romantic in that it's a love story involving immigration, a man living abroad and a woman surviving in Italy with him sending money back and this long distance relationship. But more than anything, it's a story of women's resilience, women living through 2 world wars in Italy, women having babies and the challenges, my great-great-grandmother was a midwife. So the challenges of having babies that are lost, children that are lost, the awful things that happen along the time. And then, of course, when Mussolini came in with fascism, things really just escalated. And then eventually Nazi occupation in the town where they lived in. So all of this is part of the novel. And that's the project that I'm working on right now and that I'm launching.
Yeah. And that March 8th is your launch, and that's International Women's Day. I love that idea.
Yeah, it did not happen completely on purpose. I have to be honest with you. The timing worked out. Originally I wanted to publish this in 2020 and that didn't work out timing wise. And my publisher and I were working through, the right timing. We were kind of aligning it because it is such a women-centric story and a story of the connection of daughters and mothers in Italy. We really wanted to connect it to kind of Mother's Day. And I live in London now. So Mother's Day is actually March 14th. And then just timing worked out and we were looking at it. And before we knew it, we're talking about March 8th. And I said, that's International Women's Day. And honestly, everything about this book has been so serendipitous. It's been a complete gift. And I really believe that there's a reason for everything that's happening. And I do think that there's a little bit of intervention from the women of my family saying, we want this story. We want these stories told. We don't want to be forgotten.
Absolutely. It sounds like divine intervention. And I've experienced some of those kinds of things throughout my career too. And I feel that. I think that they sort of set us up to succeed in that way. And their stories do need to be told. I love this idea. I can't wait to buy your book. Can you tell us a little bit more about connecting with your grandmother? I know that I too, my grandparents passed away when I was younger. And so it's hard to find those details. They're not here to tell me. So I think that's part of my journey too, to find these dances that connect me with their hometown and who we are as Italian Americans, right?
Yeah, completely. I mean, I first learned, my grandmother, I would hear her talking Italian on the phone all the time, but
Mhm.
otherwise she had really acculturated to America, and she did not teach her daughter, my mother, to speak Italian, which is, obviously a shame. And now that I try to do it, it's really difficult.
Right.
But when I was in high school and I started to learn about World War II, I was sitting with her one night and I said, Grandma, weren't you in Italy during World War II? Did you live through any of that? And she said, yes, I did. And she started to tell me stories of the Nazi atrocities that took place in her town. And I was amazed by what she was telling me. And it was so devastating and so sad. And honestly, I think that there's a lot that hasn't been told about what happened in World War II Italy, especially from a female perspective, from a
Right.
woman living in a rural community, midwife, people who were helping to bring children, what was happening to them. And so those questions that, I asked her a little bit of questions and then I kind of forgot about it, as you do. You're a teenager, you're living your life.
Right.
And I came back around to trying to answer these questions as I was older. But as I said, she passed away. So after that, it became this journey of connecting with, different Italians in my family. So it started with her sister, who is still alive, her younger sister, who had also been through all of it. And
Wow.
she was able to answer a lot of questions for me. And then through that, what the Italian network gets working for you. And before
Sure
you know
does.
it, you're connected to people, cousins everywhere. So especially when I went to Fonzazo, wow. I mean, everyone from the priest, sitting in the archives with the priest, he told me so much. He was able to pull out records. I mean, he was in tears because he was so excited. And then, all of these people just kind of, really came out and embraced it. And that was again, this book, I now have a final version of the book, but the truth is that over these 14 years, every year has been a gift of different, pieces of information, people coming into my lives, things being uncovered that I didn't know. It's been truly, truly such an amazing thing to do it. And it had to take 14 years, because when I started the book, I was 29 years old. I was just about to have my first child. Now I'm 43 years old. I have a 14-year-old daughter. This book is about a woman going through her life and these changes along the way, while in the background, fascism is growing and she's heading into World War II. And you see her changing as a person as well. How do we look at our children? How do we look at ourselves as we go through motherhood, as we go through life, and as we age, and as things are happening to us, as we lose our mothers?
Right.
All of that is incorporated into
So many people can relate to that, no matter if you're Italian or not. That's what I always say. You're telling everybody's story. It's every woman's story.
yeah. Yeah, I
We,
think, and that's kind of what's been so magical. And this is the best thing about it. I think, as I wrote it, I wrote down my goals for this book, and I wanted to impact 1,000 women's lives for the better, to make them
wow.
either feel more resilient or just appreciate their power and their strength, because I think women don't often realize how strong they are. Just because we may be soft does not mean we're not strong. I think the biggest, obviously, my family was Catholic and is Catholic, and so the Virgin Mary is an important symbol for
Right.
us. And so there's this moment where my main character Nina is praying in between, terrible things happening with the partisans being killed and so forth, and she's praying to the Virgin Mary, and it's she notices the gentle foot smashing the
Yeah.
snake. And it's that power in softness that
Yes.
actually is stronger than power out of brute force.
Sure is. I would watch my grandmother sew. She used to crochet, as most, Italian grandmothers do, but she used to crochet. And I just thought it was so delicate and so soft. But when she was done, you have this massive tablecloth or gown or whatever she was making. I just thought, like you said, it's that softness. But when it's pulled together and you see the end result, it is strength.
Yeah, it is
So,
strength. And the other key kind of theme in my book is this concept that women create and men destroy, yet women are the ones that are forgotten and erased in history, and men are the ones who are remembered. So if we think, really about the fact that, this book is ultimately about, the daughter of a very strong-willed midwife, and midwives were bringing babies, bringing life, all of this birth, constantly bringing life. And here we are with Mussolini and Hitler just eliminating life after life. And when I think about all the people who died in World War II, all of the numbers, over 75 million, what I
Right.
think of now is every one of those was a birth and a
Yes.
delivery for a
Yes.
woman who went through all of that to bring that child through her into the world. And then just like that, because of,
Gone.
men wanting power and unable to think of better solutions than violent fighting, we end up in this situation, which is why I feel like we need diversity in the world. And this is why
Yes.
this book, even though it's about history, is truly reflective of feminism today, because we need diversity in organizations, in governments. If we're ever going to find new solutions to the same old problems, we have to have new people sitting in the important places, sitting in leadership in organizations and corporations.
That's why I love teaching about cultural dance, because it broadens our our horizons. You start to understand we as a world, and that we're all the same, but maybe we do things just slightly different. And it's important to know our traditions, no matter who you are or where you come from. It helps you understand yourself, and it gives you a little bit of empathy for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, dance is such an important thing to me and has always been such an important thing in my life. I'm lucky that my parents gave me that gift of, the expense of the dance classes, because it's so
Right.
wound into my core. But you're exactly right. I mean, no matter where I travel around the world, I try to take a dance class. So, we were in India a couple of years ago. I took a
Oh, wow.
Bollywood class and it was so amazing. And I'd love to go to Cuba and take, but you're right. It's a great way of kind of connecting people and opening people up culturally, and just thinking about the diversity of who we are and how we're actually more the same than we are different,
Absolutely.
but appreciating each other's differences. And the beauty
Yeah.
of dance is exactly that.
Can you tell us, our listeners, a little bit about, you were talking about dance in your book, just the romantic part of it too.
Yeah.
You have lots of sides to your book, and I love that. So tell us a little bit about the romance of it and the two of them dancing.
Yes, so we have talked a lot about the women's side of it. There is definitely a love story at the core of all of this, and it's the love story of Nina Argenta and Pietro Ponte. And he was living abroad, she was in Italy, and throughout the book, they kind of meet at the beginning of the book. She's 10 years old, he's about to leave for America, as a young boy, and she's amazed at this, and she just, wonders how is this that somebody so young is leaving. And she kind of is interested in doing that too. She wonders what it would be like to do that. But then he goes away, but she always remembers him. He comes back 5 years later and there's a festival. And she's still quite young, but she's lived through World War I with her mother. And so she's a young, but an old soul after living through that. And they're celebrating, they're at the Festival d'Uva, which is the great festival, and they get a chance to dance together. And it's really those first feelings of, who is this person who's giving me butterflies in my belly. And I mentioned un colpo de fulmine, which is I'm probably pronouncing it horribly, but it's a lightning bolt of love.
Mm.
And it's basically love at first sight.
Yeah, that first
And
spark.
so, yeah,
I
that
love
first
it.
spark, that first feeling, and she gets to experience that when she's 14 years old, but then he's gone again. So, eventually they do have a relationship. They do have a long distance relationship. And her desire throughout the whole time when she ends up being in Italy on her own through World War II is to hopefully get back to him and get back in contact with him after they lose contact. So the dancing moment is special, and it's one of my favorite scenes actually in the book.
I love that. I can't wait. Well, because I was getting in touch with you, I think this really has sparked my thought and creativity again about doing this solo piece about Italian women and the rise that we have and the marks that we leave on the world. So definitely, I can't wait to read your book for sure,
Great.
and chat with you more about it after I get a chance to read it. Maybe we'll do another session and dive deeper. As a new person that's being creative out there, do you have any advice or tips for them? How do they get started? Is this your first book?
This is my first book, yes, and my advice would be, well, first of all, don't ever give up. If you really feel like you have a book in you that you need to write, you're the only person who can do that. So do not give up on it, but do everything you can to educate yourself to write the best book you possibly can. And hire a team. You're going to need editors and proofreaders to make sure that your book is the best quality you possibly can make it. And when you're ready, put it out in the world. But there, every challenge that you come up against, and I hit every one of the walls, especially because I was busy with raising a daughter and having a full-time career.
Right, real life.
Everybody hits the same walls. So go on YouTube, type in what's giving you trouble, and you will find lots of answers to help you get out of it. So where there's a will, there's a way, and tell your story, because you're really the only one who can do it. So don't give up.
Yeah, and a lot of my listeners are different kinds of storytellers. Some are writers, some are dancers, musicians, painters, sculptors, all of us out there that are being creative. It's important to tell your story in whatever medium that you have in front of you. And I always say, don't be afraid to cross over into another realm of artistic endeavors, maybe to inspire you on your own one. Sometimes I've been creating music myself lately. My brother's a musician, my sister's an author, and I'm a dancer. So we're all creative in my family. And that goes back about 500 years, I understand, from my family tree, that we've all been artistic throughout the years and centuries. So that's exciting to know. But I really connected with your book, and I think others will definitely connect with your book too. I think it sounds romantic. I think it sounds exciting, and just something to learn about, just about history and how we can learn from our history and not repeat it. And I can't think of a better book right now to really dive into and read. So tell us again, when does it come out and how can we get a hold of it?
Sure. So the book is available for pre-order now. It can be pre-ordered in a few different places. It's very easy to order the ebook on Amazon. It's better to order probably the paperback. If you can order it through bookshop.org in the US, then you can support your local independents, which is great. You can also order it through barnesandnoble.com. So you can pre-order that now. But the book is launched on March 8th, International Women's Day, and will be available, to be shipped to you as of then. But you can pre-order it on all of those sites today. And I would just also say there's a couple of exciting activities going on. So if you are a member of Goodreads, or if you even get on Goodreads, I actually have 10 signed copies. The books, the ARCs, actually, advanced reader copies, just came to me today. I'm going to sign 10 of them, and they will ship from London to 10 lucky winners on the Goodreads giveaway. So if you want to try to win a signed copy, you can do it on Goodreads. And then also, if you are a NetGalley reviewer, it's available on NetGalley as well.
That sounds so much fun. Since you've done so much work, I know what it's like to put years and years of work into a project, and then now it's finally coming to fruition. For me, I get excited, but I also get a little nervous. How are you feeling about your launch? Are you excited or nervous, or both?
Well, I'm both. Absolutely. I think it feels like you're going to walk outside naked. Basically, that's what I compare it to.
That is for sure.
But I think I feel so much better because of early readers, because exactly what I'm getting from the feedback from the early readers, who, by the way, are around the world. I've had people who have early read it in Ethiopia, people in Australia, people all over the US, in Europe, and that what's coming back is exactly what I wanted people to take away from the book. So in that sense, they're giving me a lot of confidence. My early readers are giving me a lot of confidence.
That's a great tip, Jennifer, right there. Just, if somebody's writing a book out there or their work, test it out. Ask friends and family, get on, is it Goodreads to get somebody else to read your book?
Goodreads is actually like a book social media site. So but yeah, there probably are chat rooms on there where you can offer up early options of your book. It's quite a common thing in the publishing industry to offer advanced copies.
Sure.
And then and people read it. Ideally, it's strangers, because friends and family are too nice. You need people who will give you honest feedback. I always say, give me feedback, be mean, because that's what helps make it the best it can possibly be. So
that critique and feedback is crucial
before it gets published.
And for dancers, we know all about feedback and critique because it's coming at us all the time. So
Oh, my
definitely,
dance teacher used to slap my leg on my pirouettes. I mean, she
oh
would
my
sit there
goodness.
with her hand out and she would slap my thigh if, I wasn't turned out properly. So, oh
Oh
yes, I know
my.
all about that, Anna.
Well, Jennifer, for those of us that haven't been to London, your commute back and forth to Italy to London, how is that going for you?
Oh, it's you know what? It's super easy. I'm very lucky. I mean, obviously with COVID, it's a bit of a challenge, but I was very
Right.
blessed in the sense that all summer long we were able to be in Lake Como, and then all of October I was between Venice and Lake Como and Fonzaso, spending time getting some final things. Talking to the people who are involved in my book in Fonzaso. It's a very small town, but I really hope and pray that this book sheds a light on how beautiful that part of Italy is. It's in Belluno, near the Prosecco region. There's a lot to see and do, skiing, everything. So I'm hoping
Wow.
that it helps bring some attention and interest into Fonzaso, Italy as well.
Well, I'm hoping to get back to Italy in a couple years for sure to do more research. And I've been to the northern part of Italy, like Milan, Venice, Florence, those areas. But that I haven't been to Lake Como yet, but that is definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah.
My
And the book
goal is
is all in the Dolomites. So the
okay.
Dolomites, are the very gorgeous mountains that
Yes.
basically split Italy from Austria.
Right. I'm hoping to get all 20 regions in my category, in my repertoire of dances. I have about half,
Oh, there
but
you go. Very
I'm
impressive, Anna.
oh well, it's like you said, it's years and years of digging and asking
Yeah,
and going and researching. So maybe we'll talk again in the future, and maybe I can hook up with some dancers there in the northern part of Italy to capture more of those regions and make sure that those dances never leave our world.
I'd love to see that. That would be incredible.
Jennifer, you're inspiring. I hope everybody else is listening out there that just, goes and gets back into their creative process, whether it's writing or dancing or music or whatever it is, because like you said, your story needs to be told and you're the only person that can tell it.
Oh, thank you. And you're inspiring too, Anna. Well done.
Oh,
And well done. I think the best thing is, bringing up others. That's what all of this
yes.
is about, taking other people with us. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me on. It's an
Always reach back. Always reach
honor.
back and give somebody else a hand. Tell us one more time what your book name is.
Under the Light of the Italian Moon by
Oh,
Jennifer Anton.
I love that. Okay, everyone, you heard it here. Jennifer Anton and her beautiful novel coming out March 8th. Don't forget to go out and get that. And she has wonderful giveaways and some fun events coming up for herself. So check it out, everyone. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm your host, Anna Harsh, and you've been listening to The Dance Floor. Balliamo.